Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is a new experiment for me. I'm doing my 2020 poetry bomb through my library. And because it's a Chicago-based thing, I've decided to keep my 312 hat on and record this from my 312 telephone. And I apologize that for a Facebook live stream, everything is backwards because it's the only way that you can do it. I apologize that you don't see the book covers. Like, I'm reading to you segments from the Down in the Dirt first 2020 issue collection book, which is called Foundations. Foundations. Which, you know, what is the foundation of good poetry? Probably Down in the Dirt magazine. I don't know. It seemed like a cool thing to say. And I had a cool shot of Rome on the cover because that has some excellent foundations for some excellent buildings historically, so seems all appropriate, right? I thought that I would share with you some poems from the formative section of this collection book. I'm going to start with a short poem that was meant to fit and that is designed to fit into after a piece of prose, which there's just a little bit of space left on the page, not enough for artwork or whatever. So I have a short poem in here for you, and it is called Xenon and PTSD to Fight That Spiral. For people who knew me from the past, I wrote poems for every element in the periodic table. Right now, I'm also doing Twitter-length poems for them all. This is a bonus poem because it's longer than a Twitter-length poem, but I was doing them for every element. One for magnesium, I believe, one third place from CNEN magazine. A science journal. I won an award for a poem in a science thing, which blows my mind. So I had to complete these all, and in the process I've also got this bonus poem for that, and that one is called Xenon and PTSD to Fight That Spiral. Older generations may say things seemed so stellar in the past, and you may seem saddened when you hear of the wistful way they talk. And though they fought their own wars, you turn on your TV to see terrorists fly airplanes into collapsing Twin Towers in New York. You see the riots on the streets and gun shootings on the South Side. When you take a lunch break, you see on TV the Notre Dame spire now up in smoke and realize that bad is burning, but so is good. Your anxiety, moodiness, depression from far too many traumatic things, this positivity on your negativity makes it a self-fulfilling prophecy. I know the world is tough, but the world can be good too. So stop searching and searching to wallow in the impossibly bad. You will discover the good. Please take that first step and then see what you can do. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am going to share with you some poems that relate to, I believe this is April. This first poem that I'm going to read from this set is called Quartermaster General, Burying Bodies. This was written on the day of the beginning of the Civil War, and it is actually written in the perspective of Montgomery C. Meigs. So be prepared for that. This is Quartermaster General, Burying Bodies. When I came to these United States back in 1837, I shadowed a man who later became my good friend, Robert E. Lee. I became close to him, this leader of men. I really thought he was what a Christian man should be. So we remained friends until 1861, when war broke out here, and Lee decided to desert us, the Union Army, and attempt to lead the Confederate Army. All I could think was, this was a man that I had looked up to. I modeled myself after him, and now he's the biggest traitor since Benedict Arnold? Yes, I looked up to him, but I don't admire a man who chooses to be in cahoots with rednecks who love slavery. So my only choice was to battle against this man. I've seen their home for years, and his wife Mary tending to their most elaborate rose garden. I'm sure she fumed when Robert made her leave this precious roses behind because of the war. And eventually I became the Quartermaster General for the Union Army. We crossed the Potomac and actually occupied Robert E. Lee's residence. We even made it our headquarters when Lee fought Ulysses S. Grant. He did this in this 40-day bloodbath massacre, and in this time, 82,000 people were killed in 1 month. And I had to deal with all of the incoming dead Union soldiers. Every soldier I had to bury made me more and more angry at Lee. But then my heart was broken when one of the dead soldiers that came to me was my son. My son. No man, no father should bury their own child like this. And yes, what I'm about to say makes me sound like a quasi-madman, but I want to make sure that Robert E. Lee never comes back. And if he does, let him sleep amongst Union ghosts. Where should we put the bodies of all of our fallen soldiers? Let's bury them right here on Lee's property. Bury our men around his house, around his porch, and hey, let's make a big pit for the dead in Mary's rose garden. When we won the Civil War, Robert and his wife, Mary, had come back to find that their precious home they loved so much was now turned into a graveyard. I hear that after I died, Lee's land became the heart of Arlington National Cemetery. As a fitting way to honor all of our soldiers. And to top it all off, Mary's treasured rose garden became the space for the tomb of the unknown soldier. How perfect. The land that I reclaimed from the leader of the South is now and forever will be the heartbeat of America. I love that story. I mean, in these horrific times, you think of coming up with burying them in this man's property. That's put a big mound. That just blows my mind. Oh, sorry, somebody's waving. I have to wave back. It gives me signals. It tells me that I'm supposed to wave. Hi, I'm waving for you. I love you guys. I love the Poetry Bomb. I hope everyone is hashtagging Poetry Bomb like mad. I'm going to keep doing this for a little while longer. I've got some more poems to share with you. This one, yay, this is for Thomas Jefferson Day, which is actually his birthday, which is April 13th of 1743, in case you wanted to know the year. This poem is called Quarrel over the Constitution. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, both founding fathers of the United States, were good friends, but they never agreed on how the government should run. They quarreled over the Constitution. John thought it was a document that should bend to change the needs of the time. But Thomas said, no way. This is the Constitution. This is a structure that does not bend. But as I said, they were friends nonetheless until John Adams was president. And by 1800, President Adams made a robust declaration that it is illegal to say anything bad about the President of the United States, and the federal government will get you if you're ever going to think of committing this crime. At this point, Jefferson was enraged, thinking that there's this little thing called freedom of speech, and this is in direct violation of anything that this country is supposed to actually stand for. So, when the next election came, Jefferson had to run against Adams to get him out of the presidency. So the two of them said anything derogatory about the other in order to win. Apparently, because Jefferson would argue for individual rights, Adams would say things like, voting for Jefferson is voting for murder, or incest, because he thinks anyone can do anything, whatever they want. And Jefferson was stunned that Adams would stoop so low, so he could only retort with more bad talk about Adams. Now, keep in mind, these are founding fathers of our country, and they're acting like 8th graders, especially when John Adams would say things like, Jefferson has prostitutes shipped in from overseas to have sex with them all the time. And Jefferson's response would be to go to the newspapers and tell them about how Adams was actually a hermaphrodite with both male and female sex organs. And they published this. And Jefferson's words were on record. At this point, Adams thought, fine, if he's playing dirty, let's play dirty, because Adams thought then spread the word that Thomas Jefferson was actually dead. No point in voting for a dead man, right? President? I mean, come on, really. This is the incumbent president's campaign strategy, is vote for me, I'm alive. Good call. So Jefferson found different ways to get him back by calling upon a hatchet man, James Callender, to publish newspaper articles about Adams that he wants to go to war with France. Yes, he published this. It was actually published. And yes, Jefferson won, but Adams thought before he left, he would appoint into office below him a lot of people who vehemently opposed everything Jefferson actually stood for, which might be a proper statement of how politicians can get things done while dealing with people on opposing views, but really, who am I to judge? So, near the end of Jefferson's first term as president, his daughter died. Abigail Adams, John's wife, felt bad, and even though they had their differences, she wrote a sympathy letter to Thomas Jefferson. And Jefferson responded, saying, "That was very kind of you. Thank you. But while I have you here, John tried to ruin my presidency, so I truly only feel bad will towards you." Jefferson probably wanted to use a lot more expletives, but I don't have the original letter, so I can't confirm his true feelings or his true words. Now, keep in mind that maturity level of these two founding fathers who were consecutive presidents of the United States. So Abigail then just turned to John and said, "That's it. Thomas Jefferson is dead to us." A decade went by, them not speaking to each other, until another founding father, Benjamin Rush, told Adams to just let it pass. We shared those glorious 1776 days together. Those starting the country times were just so magical. So John Adams fondly reflected on these times with Tommy Jeff and decided to write a letter, very general. "Hey, we haven't talked in a while. How are you doing? I miss you. I hope you're doing okay." Jefferson got this letter, and he decided to actually write back. He was thinking of the good times with Johnny Ads, and he wrote a cordial letter back. And after 10 years, and they kept writing each other, and they realized that they had a lot more in common. By the end of their lives, they had both exchanged 158 letters. These two were friends again. And by 1826, John Adams is on his deathbed, and his last words were, "Independence forever." They didn't know this, but they both died on the same day, July 4th, 1826, the 50-year anniversary of them signing the Declaration of Independence, which seems a perfect ending for a tumultuous and insanely groundbreaking friendship. I have to give waves because it keeps telling me to give waves on my Facebook feed. So hi, Holy Louise, hi. I hope all is well with you. And I hope you're enjoying the poetry. This is Poetry Bomb Day. If you guys don't know it, just hashtag everything, hashtag Poetry Bomb, and share it with the world, and you can do searches and find a ton of stuff. I've got an event listing page for my reading, and anybody can post anything there that they'd like, and I should be reading poetry. because this is all about the poetry bomb. Hashtag poetry bomb. This is a short poem in here that is called Eat Your Words, and it was written on Edible Book Day. And when I have the opportunity for something that's short, I would do an Instagram image that would appear on Tumblr and Twitter and Facebook, and it also appears in books like this, and I'll try to make it. This is Eat Your Words, and so I have to show it for cameras. There you go. This is a short piece called Eat Your Words. With the family sick and in bed yesterday, I thought about the Edible Book Festival that I was at home missing out on. With my library of books, both made and read, I wondered if paper was literally edible. And then I saw how people celebrated this day, not by actually eating books, but by making facsimiles of books, like making pastries and where the icing makes the food look like it's a book. I had no intention, all alone, baking a cake to fashion into a book just to eat. So I looked for another way to eat my words and added alphabet soup noodles into my egg drop soup. Mixing letters with numbers with strands of egg whites really made it a messy read, but I still had enough leftover yummy word soup to enjoy today and maybe tomorrow. I might not have literally made a book, but my integration of text into my soup was my deconstructed literary inspiration. They tell you not to play with your food, but April 1st was a day that I could play with my words within my food and form the words that describe our lives. And hey, that's a reason to celebrate. All right, this is fun coming up with these different topics for you guys. I've got 2 more poems I'm going to read, and then I'm going to cut this feed and go to another one because I don't like reading and reading and reading forever, but I'm going to do this for you guys. This is a poem that was written on National Take a Chance Day. Take a Chance Day. You'll look for all these things like, what? This is called Zones of Comfort and Taking a Chance. Honey, I'm still free. Take a chance on me. I recently heard that Mark Twain said, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did. Once, after I had money saved and sufficient hate for my job, I quit and I traveled around the country by car, driving 8 hours a day to visit friends in new cities so that I could otherwise try to get out of my comfort zone. Months later, I got the chance to fly in an airplane, and I thought, I've never done that before, to actually fly an airplane, so why not? And off I went. Later, I looked at the ravages of time and wondered what I was waiting for when I talked about jumping out of an airplane. So I went to Longmont where I could have a good view of the Tetons when I jumped from 17,000 feet above sea level. I was never scared. I'd be fine, and what's the point of fear anyway? More recently, while snorkeling, I saw in the distance what looked like a white-tipped shark sleeping along the bottom of the ocean. I had no scuba gear, but where I got, it wasn't very deep, so I promised I wouldn't get too close. And I swam, and I saw at least 24, maybe 30 of these sharks, all peacefully sleeping in a perfect row. In fact, today was my scheduled day to purchase an electric hybrid American car. And come to think of it, I heard about a man who wore a stainless steel woven metal suit where he could literally conduct 200,000 volts from a Tesla coil to what looked like right through him. There's a video of this man in his metal suit conducting electricity from this Tesla coil through his outstretched arm, along his body, and through this wooden stool that's at the bottom. And it finally then got to the ground. I was like, you watch this and it's absolutely amazing. And after this, I keep thinking that there's a certain electricity in the air. And Now I have to wonder if we were the same size and if I could fit into that suit and move some electricity myself. Because maybe it's true. Maybe you'll be disappointed by the things you didn't do versus the things you do. So, honey, I'm still free. Take a chance, like me. I like ending on happier notes, so I've got one happier one for you. Ending one before I do another live feed for you guys for the Poetic Bomb. Hashtag Poetic Bomb. This is a poem called Karma and Lollipops. And it was written on Tangible Karma Day, which falls on the first Saturday of April. Tangible Karma Day. Called Karma and Lollipops. When we were about to check out of our hotel this weekend, the woman at the register stopped us, handed us two emblazoned bunny lollipops, and said, "Happy Easter." Even though Easter was weeks away, I said thank you, and we went to their breakfast. Well, he got coffee and I got orange juice and yogurt. He then pointed to the mom that was seated there with her two little boys eating. I looked at the lollipops, still in my hand, walked over to them and asked if it was okay to give her boys these two lollipops. She smiled and said yes to the plastic-wrapped lollipops, but since I thought breakfast might not be the best time for candy, I gave the mother the lollipops and then got the last of my food with my luggage before we got on the road again. People get high and mighty with their phrases, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you," or "You reap what you sow," "What goes around comes around," or even "paying it forward." But these random acts of kindness, this tangible karma, all pretty much amounts to the same basic truth. What you do, the energy you put out into the world, will come back to you. The added bonus for tangible karma is that while doing good for someone else, it makes you feel good too. But if karma is true and good things come to you because of the good you do, then these insignificant acts of kindness are tangible proof, evidence of exactly what you can do. Because the nice thing with tangible karma is that all that goodness will always come back to you. You guys, I hope you guys like that. I am going to do another feed for other things from this book from Down in the Dirt, Foundations, and hashtag everything poetry bomb right now for as long as we can. Get poetry out in the universe, right? Rock on.